Let's get started. So I would like to call the business meeting of the Portland Board of Public Education to order. It is Tuesday, May 7th, 2024. We are meeting in a hybrid format with some members here in person and some joining by Zoom. Tonight, we're going to have board members Figdor, Biliou, and Bryden joining us remotely. And I think a couple of student representatives will also be joining us remotely. And Student Representative McDonald is running late. Deputy Superintendent Townsend, will you please call the roll?
Good evening, everybody. Member Ali.
Here.
Member Biliou. Vice Chair Bonda.
Présente.
Member Bryden.
Here.
Member Figdor.
Here.
Member Grant.
Here.
Member Noor.
Here.
Member Opperman.
Here.
Student Representative Hayden.
Here.
Student Representative Kintiba. Student Representative Knight. Student Representative McDonald. Student Representative Rosado. Student Representative Kunku. Chair Lentz.
Here. Thank you. And now the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Portland Public Schools recognizes the original inhabitants of the land on which our city and schools stand. The Wolastoqiyik or Maliseet, Micmac, Penobscot, and Passamaquoddy tribes, known collectively as the Wabanaki Confederacy, or people of the Dawnland. We are honored to have Wabanaki children among our students today, and as a district, we are committed to making the past, present, and future of Wabanaki peoples visible in our schools and classrooms. As a reminder of our mission, the Portland Public Schools is responsible for ensuring a challenging, relevant, and joyful education that empowers every learner to make a difference in the world. We build relationships among families, educators, and the community to promote a healthy development and academic achievement of every learner. And our definition of equity. Equity is all people being held to high expectations and having access to opportunities that are reflective of their individual needs, identities, and experiences. Equity is achieved in Portland Public Schools when there are no identifiable differences in outcomes and experiences for any population subgroup. And now we're going to move on to public comment. Is there anyone here to give public comment? Okay, I'm going to have you come on up. I'm going to go through my reminders while you come on up. Members of the public may speak on any subject directly related to the operations of the schools, except for personnel matters or complaints concerning specific employees or students, which shall be addressed through established policies and procedures. If an item is on the agenda, please use the public comment time associated with that item. Comments are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes or 6 minutes for individuals using an interpreter to make their comment. Individuals may not relinquish a portion of their allotted time to another speaker. The board may not respond to comments, and please refrain from responding in the audience. Speakers must refrain from engaging in disruptive comment, including, but not limited to, using vulgar and/or obscene language, threatening others using words or by other actions, using pejorative or discriminatory language with reference to a person or a group on the basis of their religion, ethnicity, nationality, race, color, descent, gender, or other identity factor, making defamatory comments, exceeding the allotted time limits, talking over, interrupting others, offering repetitive comments, and offering comment on matters unrelated to the school district's programs, policies, or operations. I'll stop any public comment that is contrary to these rules. To give public comment, you'll come up to the podium or raise your Zoom hand. I will keep the time and raise a yellow folder indicating that you have 30 seconds remaining and a red folder at the end of your time. Are you ready?
I am.
Go ahead, Lucy.
Hi, I didn't jump in front of anybody, did I?
No, you're good.
Hi, my name is Lucy Schulman. I am an employee, a teacher at Portland Adult Education, living in North Deering in Portland. Do you need my address, or is that like?
Neighborhood is fine.
Okay, North Deering. So I'm here to speak about a budget concern that has been raised at Portland Adult Education. Our head custodian position has been scheduled to be eliminated, and that's bad. We're a school with long hours and a broad variety of needs due to the diversity of our student population and the variety of services that we provide. We need a full-time custodian to manage this building, which most days is open from like 7 in the morning until 9 at night. I routinely teach until 9 at night. I've met the night custodians, and while I'm grateful for their work, it's limited. Our head custodian does much more, including preparing rooms and facilities for events, sorting our trash and recyclables, refereeing issues in our battlefield of a parking lot that we share with the Cathedral of Immaculate Conception, assembling furniture and equipment, including that which is needed to like comply with ADA reasonable accommodations, snow removal, and any other number of like other jobs. I understand that budgeting is a very complicated process, and I'm certain everyone puts a great deal of work into it, and I'm glad that I don't have to do it. However, I am concerned that focusing on, a kind of low-level position like this, as subject for elimination could, be an equity concern, especially surrounding like labor relations. And this is not the direction I want my school district or my city to take. Sorry, it's a long walk up those stairs. So, and finally, I was a student at this school during a really difficult time in my life. I attended in the 2013 to 14 school year when PAE had just moved to Locust Street from its Douglas Street location. It was like creepy attending school there at the time because all the walls were blank and everything was empty, and the building had this feeling of being uninhabited. And now it's like, there are perennially unaddressed maintenance issues due to the building being leased, but it is a beautiful, clean and thriving green space that's very welcoming, and it's a pleasure to go to work there. Thanks to our head custodian's attention and caretaking. It would be terrible to lose her, to lose that position, and would profoundly affect the facilities and our ability to effectively serve the people of Portland. I was able to become a productive citizen and a public servant due to Portland Adult Education, and I hope the City Council and the school board will see the sense in ensuring that we have the staff and resources that we need to continue providing workforce training, high school credentials, enrichment classes, and English instruction to the people of Portland. That is all that I came to say tonight. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Lucy. Would anyone else like to give public comment? Okay, I'm seeing no one here in the physical space. I'm seeing no one in the Zoom space. Welcome, Student Representative Rosado. Good to see your face. So I'm going to go ahead and close public comment and move on to my remarks. So I'd actually like to start my remarks tonight by acknowledging a tremendous loss in our community. Jim Neely's, or as he was known by the kiddos at Ocean Ave, Mr. Jim, passed away after a short illness several weeks ago. Over the years that I've known Mr. Jim, he's worked at many of our schools, but most recently was a lunch and recess aide and a core member of the After the Bell program at Ocean Ave School. I've seen Mr. Jim contribute so much to positive school culture. Most days when I pick up my kiddo from After the Bell, I would find him with Mr. Jim at a table with a few other students engaged in some sort of art or craft. Mr. Jim would always have a model project on the table, but was actively always encouraging each of the students to find their way through the project to create art that was meaningful and expressive to them. Mr. Jim not only gave them a love of art, but a sense of belonging. And it wasn't just to the students. Mr. Jim's warmth and care welcomed parents and caregivers into the space and made them feel right at home too. I wanted to extend my thoughts to his family and his friends and all the people in our community who knew and loved him so much. Thank you, Mr. Jim, for everything you gave to our district. In other news that is quite celebratory, there are millions of events happening across our district that are so exciting. Last week alone, well, I guess in the last week and a half, there's been a district-wide art show at City Hall that features the coolest art from all of our schools, ceramics, paintings, sculptures, and it's in City Hall for several weeks. You can go and check that out. Make It Happen also had an art show or has an art show at Central Office, which you can check out for another couple of weeks along with some really cool clothing from Asian countries, and they're just beautiful. So thank you to the Multilingual Center for helping organize that. Also, I'm still thinking about all the delicious food and dancing that happened at the Rock Around the World event. It was super fun to be in a space with so much celebration happening. So just thank you to all who contributed, especially to all the families that made that beautiful, beautiful food. Let's see, another exciting thing that happened, 11th grader Violet Bloom Levine took first place in Tyler Technologies' 2024 Maine App Challenge. For creating a system for easily scheduling parent-teacher conferences. Congratulations, Violet. And then we also had Passover. We had the rest of Eid. We had Teacher Appreciation, which I think today is even Teacher Day. I can't even keep up with our Instagram because every day there's a new celebration. So thank you to all of our communication staff who are staying on top of all of those. And then this weekend, we also have a lot of events. So we have, and actually before we get to the weekend, on May 8th, there's a High School of the Future information session online that people can join to hear more about what's happening around that body of work. And then this weekend, Deering High School is having an open house for their 150th year on Saturday. There's also an art and music festival at Casco Bay. There's a plant sale at Paths that is so, so good if you like plants. And then also just another plug for Spring for Teachers, which will take place on May 15th. And the proceeds of that support our equity and teacher and innovation teacher grant programs and PPS students directly. And then last night at City Council, they heard our first read of our budget, and there were several people that showed up to give support for that. So thank you to our community that continues to push that process forward. The final reading of the budget will be in 2 weeks from yesterday. The date is escaping me, the 20th, I believe. And we look forward to getting that passed. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Student Representative Anya Hayden from Deering High School.
Thank you, Chair. I'm thrilled for the opportunity to represent and advocate for Deering High School. I also want to say that I really look forward to learning about the many processes that enable our district to run, gain knowledge from my fellow board members who work hard to give the Portland Public Schools community tools for success. As Chair Lentz mentioned, this year Deering is celebrating its 150th anniversary. Along with this momentous occasion, we've adopted a new motto of sorts, all one school. This phrase plasters the walls of our classrooms, echoes in weekly announcements, and reminds us all that individual success results from communal effort. This motto also reflects the efforts of many school clubs and affinity groups to improve Deering and give back. One such endeavor is Culture Day, an annual event that Deering puts on to celebrate the diversity of our school. It will be held this year on May 24th. The organizational effort has been largely led by Black Student Union President Khalid Mahmed, along with other student affinity group leaders. The day always serves as a reminder that our pluralistic community is what gives us uniqueness and strength. We have over 30 languages spoken and countless cultural traditions practiced among students and staff at Deering. The day promises to be filled with diverse traditional clothing, educational activities, dancing, food, and unity. It is always a high point in the school year. Prom is another event fast approaching for Deering High School. It's to be held on May 18th and welcomes Deering juniors and seniors to gather, build community, and celebrate our successful past year. Deering's joint junior and senior prom reflects our cohesion as all one school. I also want to highlight a specific club that's admirably contributing to the Deering High School community. Girls Who Code, a club started by students Zara Almatwari and Violet Bloom Levine, has been working to develop an app to give Deering students easy access to course catalog information. Their aim is for students to be able to easily track their interest in future courses, find courses that build off of their experiences, and help fellow students find classes that are right for them. All of these student-led projects, and many more not mentioned, demonstrate the willingness of Deering students to work for the betterment of our community. Even with limited funds and resources, they're creating opportunities for celebration. Recognition must also be given to the Deering staff, without which our successes would not be possible. This week marks a time for appreciating the teachers in our lives. Our gratitude reaches not only our visible in-class educators, but also to anyone who takes on a mentorship role in our community, lending their knowledge and experience to Deering and Portland Public Schools' learning and progress. A bit more news on the staff side of Deering. A recent insight survey was conducted in partnership with TNTP, the New Teacher Project, to assess the quality of employee experience and the conditions for quality instruction. Results showed gains across every domain for the second year in a row. The concept of all one school has given way to a second motto popularized by our wonderful Miss Noor, learning together. A majority of Deering's classes include students across multiple grades, including our many AP classes. This enables people to challenge themselves in a personalized way at a place that's right for them and learn from older peers who have more experience in rigorous academic spaces. As we're entering AP season, students across Deering learn and tackle demanding tests together. From freshmen taking their first AP test, human geography, to juniors and seniors working through AP physics, there's a school-wide atmosphere of collaboration and determination. Deering aims to promote student voice and engagement while ensuring there's a place for everyone to make an impact. Many extracurriculars are offered to give students a place to express themselves and explore topics more deeply in a way that traditional classes may not provide. One example of this is in the arts. Ms. Hutchins, the Deering music teacher, has organized a solo and small ensemble night at Deering for May 23rd to showcase students performing small group or solo works. There will also be Deering students performing live music at this year's graduation at Merrill Auditorium. Model UN is another opportunity for students to dive deeper into an area of interest for them. Deering's Model UN Club will be attending the conference held at USM in Gorham this week. Deering has the largest delegation of all schools attending, sending upwards of 40 students to participate and represent a country. At the conference, students learn to tackle global problems with a global mindset. They research the perspectives of other countries, understand international governance, and diplomatically negotiate with one another to resolve complex issues. Finally, I wanted to spotlight the work of Deering's Seeds of Peace Club in organizing a dialogue last week to discuss the conflict in Palestine and Israel. A dialogue aims, as Seeds of Peace says themselves, to make a space for students to listen and to be heard, to experiment with conflict in ways that bring people closer together, to understand what needs to change in society, and cement a desire to work for those changes. A key component is openness to new perspectives and resistance to stereotyping or bias. Many students who attended the dialogue expressed appreciation for the chance to discuss and were glad that the conflict was being acknowledged in school. To conclude, I want to mention some recent wins for the Rams. The Deering High School debate team qualified for and will be competing in the national tournament in public forum debate over Memorial Day weekend in Chicago. Additionally, boys lacrosse is having its best season years, and tennis, girls lacrosse, and girls track recently had their first wins of the season. In summary, Deering is working hard to be a place of inclusivity, unity, and valuable educational experience. I look forward to working with my fellow board members to further uplift these values. Thank you so much. That concludes my remarks.
Thank you, Student Representative Hayden. And just a quick shout out to you. We know that Student Representative Hayden has only been on the board for a couple of weeks, and this came up very quickly that she needed to do this report. And when I reached out to her immediately, she was like, well, what should I talk about? And before I could answer, she said, oh, I know, I'll ask the people in my school what's important to them. And I just thought that that was such a good testament to the way that the culture is at Deering and across the district. And I just appreciate you responding to this call and giving such a wonderful update. If anyone has any questions for her, we can ask them now. Okay, I'm going to just double check. I don't see any on Zoom. Okay. Oh, yes. Board Member Figdor, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Chair. I just wanted to commend Student Representative Hayden for such great comments. It was, as a parent at Deering, I have a sense of a lot of what's going on, and that was just captured even more and did it so well. And clearly, I know that Representative Hayden is new. So great job, Anya. So happy to have you on the board, and thank you so much for your contribution tonight.
Thank you, Board Member Figdor. Any other thoughts or questions? All right, then, seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to the superintendent.
Good evening, everyone. We're going to have to agree on rotating the order of this because we've now gotten to a spot where Board Chair Lentz takes all the celebratory remarks. Student representatives, in particular Hayden tonight, take all of the great comments, and then the superintendent comes up rear with the Eeyore comments of the night. So we're going to have to adjust this for next time. I declare that I get to go first next time. I'm going to share updates on 4 particular things tonight. Let me just get the slides up here for this. We're going to talk a little bit about high school recognitions and some future work in this area. But just a quick update on the budget and some work that's been happening since then. Maine PERS, just to make sure that the board all has the same update and the public is aware of where we're at on that. And then the end of year calendar and just previewing a vote that is in front of you tonight. As you heard from Student Representative Hayden, and as we know, we have great high schools, and we're very fortunate to have a number of high schools tonight that get recognized in a number of ways, including as being one of the oldest high schools continuously run in the same building in Portland, being recognized for literary magazines, Casco Bay being recognized this month as the 5th ranked high school in Maine by U.S. News and World Report. I could go on, but we have a number of recognitions that exist. And as we think about continuing that tradition, we need to think about how do we continue to be recognized and to continue to be celebrated. And part of that work has been going on for the last couple of years, where we have developed a portrait of a graduate and a portrait of a school to meet that graduate. And we've done this in partnership with our community. And so to achieve these visions and to address our facilities needs, we need to continue to think broadly about what our high schools will look like in the future. And Board Chair Lentz mentioned that we have had a community session last Wednesday on May 1st, and we'll have another on May 8th. And we'll go into a lot more about this in the fall as we really ramp up this work, but just wanted to put on your radar and to make sure you were all aware that we do have the major construction application coming up in August of 2024, so at the end of this summer, and the consolidated school application in June 2025. I want to highlight just 2 pieces on this. These are not pieces that mean that something is done. In fact, what they mean is that we are trying to preserve options and potentially open doors for future conversations. And so what both of these mean is that the major construction application is simply us submitting to the state a current analysis of the current level of our facilities at our 4 high school campuses, as well as at 3 high school campuses and at Talbot, so that they do an analysis and they consider us for future funding for that work. Again, it doesn't mean that we would necessarily have to do it, but it does mean that as they consider allocating state funding in the future, that we would potentially be on the list. And the consolidated school application does not necessarily mean that we would go forward with that. But again, it means that is a possibility. And so I say that just because we're starting to see the conversations that have been taking place over the last year and a half start to get a little bit of groundswell. And with that, sometimes things go fast and things go slow, and just wanted to name that this is all just trying to make sure we keep our options open, not that decisions are being made in any sort of way, but just early conversations. And that is it. And so if this puts a little bug in your ear and you're curious about it, please join us tomorrow for that. And then look out for a number of conversations early in the next school year when we'll really dig into this topic. Second, since the passing of the budget, we've been working with our union partners and staff to implement any reduction in force that we have faced. And so what you can see below here is an update by bargaining unit on the impact. And so I'm just going to walk through each of these because one of the questions that I've had from a number of groups is what's been the actual impact? And so first, our administrative assistants. There were 9 individuals that were impacted. 1 chose not to return to Portland Public Schools. 5 did move from full year to school year that were impacted. One moved from full-time to a 0.6 position, and then 2 had adjusted positions. One was this year in a split position, and one is likely stepping into just a different position next year of their choice. And so that's the impact. And so if you think about this from an individual level, there's real impact here. The good news is that there were positions for all of our administrative assistants who wanted to remain with Portland Public Schools in the 24-25 school year. For our custodians, there were 20 individuals that were impacted. 14 chose new positions that were comparable. So they may have chosen to go from one school to another. One chose what I'm going to refer to as a downgraded position. They went from a head custodian to a building custodian 2. One resigned, and 3 had positions adjusted. Education technicians, we had 63 meetings with individuals. 15 resigned or did not select. I'm just going to pause there for a second. For each group that we met with, the biggest factor that came up in the conversations was not about the specific position, but was about their individual school. And so what we saw in particular with education technicians was that if their school that they were at this year did not have a position, they oftentimes chose not to select a position. In some cases, because they were holding out to see if another position would open up in the future. In some cases, because they actually had a new position for next year already, where they may be stepping into a teaching position, or were somebody who's interested in the medical field had a new position for next year in a related field, and in some cases where they chose not to remain with Portland Public Schools, and 48 selected a new position within the district. And so you can see the impact there. I can say that, well, it may not feel exactly fair to say this, because again, it's about people's lives, and moving schools can feel like pretty significant. For every education technician who wanted a position, there was a position available. And so when we finished the process, there still actually remained a small number of vacancies that they could have selected from. But again, I don't want to minimize this. If they were here today, they would say that it didn't always feel like there was a comparable position. The PEA teachers, we anticipate having these conversations with them at the end of this week. The reason that they take a little bit longer is because in this case, some of them are going to be impacted by who selects into the coach role or the reading specialist position. And so that is playing out right now. Those selections, those movements are happening, and that'll impact what positions are available and that they'll step in. We're working closely with our union partners on this as well. We do anticipate that there will be a small bit of movement, and that our hope is that for the most part, we'll be able to work with the teachers that are impacted to either find a analogous position or a position where we could help them get an emergency certification where they could step into the role if they would like to. So that is the plan there. And so that's where you can see the impact overall. So the good news is that we've been able to move through this and overall been able to offer people positions. So that's the silver lining in this. Our finance team continues to work closely, if I can switch topics here, with Maine PERS, Barry Dunn, MEA, and PEA to update our reporting to Maine PERS. This is very, very time consuming, including weekly meetings for some staff, 3 times a week meetings. You can imagine the amount of data that is going into this that Helene and her team are working through. I want to put in context exactly where we're at and just go through this slowly. We have officially submitted reporting to Maine PERS through March of 2023. But what I'm sharing with you is we chose to go back to July of 2022. The reason we did that is because we wanted to make sure that we had exactly the information right. Because what we were finding is that even the data that had been submitted and accepted, there were some inconsistencies in it. And so with Barry Dunn's support and with Maine PERS working side by side with us, we were able to really work through that data. Just today, actually, at 2:00, we were able to confirm that we're able to submit to Maine PERS on Thursday, July through October, and have that in, which is actually a pretty significant accomplishment because it's starting us with a clean slate. And that'll allow us to work through what will actually be the biggest mountain, which will be November through December of 2022. That is when payroll had its most challenging time last school year. And so we'll be able to get through that. That's the good news. We've discovered that this is, as we've shared with you, a very time-consuming process, but have been working closely with Maine PERS and are very appreciative to our partners in the back of the room that have worked closely with us on this throughout all of this, including supporting our communication, and at this point are sending out joint communications at points with Maine PERS and with PEA around this. Part of the challenge of all of this is that entering the data into Maine PERS is relatively labor intensive and relatively manual. And so it's not just about making sure we have the right information coming out of our payroll system, but it's about making sure that we have the right information going into theirs. And so we did enter into an MOU with Maine PERS for them to enter the information into their system. This is great news because it means that as of Thursday, we're going to be passing this information to them and still work hand in hand with them, right? I don't mean like sort of like passing it off and forgetting it, but it means that they'll take responsibility at that point to entering the information in. And so that is good news. We will pay for the contractors that they will bring in, but they will take care of supervising, and they have the expertise in their system in exactly how to enter the information. I'm going to jump to the last bullet real quick, and then share on the second to last. Maine PERS, PEA, and I are meeting with school staff over the next 3 weeks, face-to-face, to provide updates and to answer any questions that they have. We've been providing written communication. We've found that face-to-face has just been helpful. And so that we will be doing that over the next 3 weeks. You can picture that as sort of the 30-minute meeting before school or the 30-minute meeting after school. And just, again, really appreciative of both Carrie from PEA and then the staff at Maine PERS who are joining, so that staff on our side can get any questions that they have answered and really start to understand how this impacts. Because, well, there's a timing piece. If you look at it from a longer window, the impact on staff, once this information gets in, has minimal impact on them. That's the good news. It's just a question of making sure we get the right information in, then the impact's minimal. Maine PERS has proposed to change their policies that would have somewhat of an impact on Portland Public Schools. And they've proposed changing both their policies around penalties for late submissions of reports and for payments. The payments would not impact us at this time, as we've submitted estimated payments and are up to date on that. The penalties for reporting would, right? That's what I'm updating you on now. The penalties, as they're proposing, would be for $100 per day. There's 2 reports that we would need to submit, and we're about 13 months behind at this point. And so if you factor that out, as of today, we would owe $79,000. I don't want to minimize that. I also don't want to pay $79,000 in penalties. And so just to continue our partnership and to continue our commitment to this work, I'll be providing public comment on the proposed changes and the work that we're doing on May 9th in Augusta at their meeting. I'm going to do the next one and then I'll pause for questions because my last one's fairly quick. As we come to the end of the year, it's just a good reminder of when the last day of school is. And you're going to have a vote tonight to request a waiver from the state. This year, we've had a couple of late starts and early ends, but we've had 2 snow days. So that means that our calendar's adjusted, and the last day for students now is Friday, June 14th, and the last day for staff is June 17th. This evening, we've put before you a request to have a waiver from the state for 2 instructional days at Talbot that was caused by the need for mold remediation, and 1 day that was caused by an additional power outage at Casco Bay. That was for when we had the snow day in April. I forget the exact date. I think it was the 4th, and Casco Bay was still without power on that Friday. And so that is the request. The state has indicated that they would review and turn around a decision in about a week to 10 days. And so we would have a final and be able to provide an update probably by the next board meeting, so our community would be able to plan for that. And in case you're wondering why we did not request for it earlier, the guidance we got from the state way back in September around the Talbot question was to wait just to see how everything played out through the snow. And so we did previously request for the tragedy in Lewiston because everybody did. But for Talbot, they asked us to wait because it's really a question of financial hardship more than anything else. And so that's where we're at. And so with that, I will pull down my screen and take any questions.
Before we take questions, I was just hoping, Ryan, you could review again the reasons that we're behind on reporting, the 13 months behind on reporting. Could you just give a quick summary about that?
Yeah, happy to. So the reporting for Maine PERS is complex. So first, there's 2 different plans that individuals could potentially be in for either teachers or non-teachers, and a number of different tiers within teachers. And people can qualify for getting credit for service in it based on just the amount of time you worked as a teacher and the pay you earned as a teacher, or if you're a coach. And if you're in the plan like I am, right? And I coached, I don't coach, but if I did, I would earn credit for it. But somebody else who's not a teacher wouldn't earn credit for it. And so there's complexity about who gets credit for it and who doesn't. And when the payroll went down last year and we were doing this manually, we were having a hard time reporting it accurately. And so what that meant is that we weren't consistent about how we were reporting whether income that somebody was getting paid should be given credit for Maine PERS or not. And so that can have pretty significant impact on whether or how much somebody gets in retirement. Because the way Maine PERS calculates retirement is based on the average of your 3 highest years of income in Maine PERS. And so we want to make sure that's right, and especially for folks that are close to retirement. And so because it wasn't consistent, we're now going back and doing that. And part of the hard part about that is if it was consistently applied, then what we could do is just look at, oh, what we did is we always forgot to give it to coaches. And then we could just correct it. But it wasn't consistent. And so what we're having to do is sort of look employee by employee and do that. And it's very time consuming. And what has come up throughout all of this is we've been focused on really that window of just last year. And the vast majority, and I don't want to make this sound bigger than it is, the vast majority of the challenges that we face are in that window of time. But there have been issues that have come up that are outside of that. And so we're also trying to make sure that we get this right for that time. And so our plan at this point is now that we have July through October, we can move forward. And so we can get November and December, which is going to take us a little bit of time. And then we can get beyond when the payroll was really a struggle, right? And sort of build on. And then we had to now in ADP build up a new reporting structure for how this should work, because that didn't come automatically. And so that's really why it's been time consuming, is because sometimes employees have 2, 3, 4 income streams. You're a teacher, you're a coach, you got a stipend for being a team lead, you covered a class. All of those things may have different rules about whether or not you got Maine PERS. And so we want to make sure for our employees, it's 100% right. You only get so many bites at the apple to do this right, and it matters. And so that's why it's taking a while and longer than any of us want. And it's why we brought on Barry Dunn. I mean, the reality is that we're really fortunate. Our executive director of finance is amazing. And what Barry Dunn is like a super calculator because they have, 4 or 5 people that are all working on this for us. We don't have that level of manpower. And so they're working with Helene as that super calculator behind the scenes.
Thank you for all that context. I've just, I think that there's a sentiment in the community sometimes that's like, why isn't this fixed? And I think, that gives a lot of context to why it's not fixed. And I think that that's because we're trying really hard to get it right, so that we have that foundation that is so solid and correct to move forward from. But I just want like the amount of data that is being gone through, so much appreciation for the people that are doing that and staying at it so that we can get to that great foundation. So thank you.
Yeah, I'll just add one piece and I would defer to Helene. I'm looking at Helene in the back of the room. But my gut is Helene would tell you that it would be easier if we could have started from scratch than trying to do what we're doing, right? Which is trying to fix looking backwards. That's actually the challenge. Is trying to go back in the system and say, what should it have been where it's not consistent? Mm-hmm. Fair? Yeah.
Yes, that was a nod from Aline for those watching at home. Board Member Grant, go ahead.
Ready for questions?
Yeah, and let's stay on Maine PERS for now, and then we can change topics.
Questions. Does the changeover to ADP mean that we're no longer digging the hole anymore or close to that point?
So it means we're working on a different thing. Okay. So the changeover to ADP means that we've been working with ADP to be able to have an automated report that runs out of it. We've been working with ADP's programmers to be able to run that. I think it's if it isn't ready now, it is
imminent. Yeah. Okay. Second question on the.
Can you get closer to your mic?
Sorry, on the rules changes, the one about penalties, does it have a retroactive component to it, or do you know?
The 4 bullets that exist right now are that level of detail.
Okay.
So there's nothing. I talked to Maine PERS today, and I said, is my calculation right? And they said, yes. And I said, how would you apply this? And they said, we'd have to figure it out with you.
Okay. So that tells me that the rule as proposed does not include retroactivity.
Right now, it is silent.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Board Member Grant. Other questions? Yes, Vice Chair Bondo, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to get a simple language right now to understand a little bit. So by now, are we having all our reports beside of the November, that area 2022? Are we updated right now with the reporting, or what we missing just the November 2022?
No. So I don't mean to split hairs here. So we have submitted reports through March of 2023.
Yes, okay.
That is it. Mm-hmm. We chose to go back to July of 2022 to get a more accurate and clean starting spot. Okay. One, just to have a better clean starting spot. And 2, part of the way that Maine PERS reconciles each month when you submit is it looks at the previous month, because variability tells you that there may be an issue with the report.
Okay. Right. All right. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Other questions on Maine PERS? Anybody on Zoom?
Nobody on Zoom.
Okay. Seeing none. Any other questions about any of the other updates that came in the superintendent's report? Okay. All right then. So I think then we can move along to the report of the secretary. Sound good to you, Superintendent? Yep. So tonight we have the consideration action to approve the meeting minutes of April 9th, 2024. Are there any corrections to the meeting minutes from April 9th, 2024? All right, I see no hands. So we're gonna approve those minutes as they were distributed. And then we have, sorry, I just lost my place in the document. We have a bunch of new business that we're gonna have a lot of workshops on tonight. So we have the first four pieces of new business are gonna be around policies that the Curriculum and Policy Committee have referred to the full board for first read tonight. So because we're gonna have a workshop on those first four, is there anything that anybody wants to say about them now, or just wait till workshop?
Wait till workshop.
Okay, perfect. I was like, oh, I can't quite read your eyes. Thanks. Beautiful. And so then this last piece of new business tonight, we have the consideration and action to authorize the superintendent of schools on behalf of Portland Public Schools to request a waiver for student attendance at Talbot Community School on September 6th and 7th due to school site needing to be closed for mold mitigation, and to request a waiver for student attendance at Casco Bay High School on April 5th due to the site being without power. Superintendent Scallon, you would like to do a vote on this tonight, is that correct? Okay, so what we're going to do first before we vote on that is we're going to take a vote to not take a second read on this. So I would be looking for a motion to move to not have a second read on this motion tonight. Thank you, Board Member Opperman. Is there a second? Thank you, Board Member Grant. Yes, so you can vote on this. Let's just do an all in favor, please, on not taking a second read. Okay, that is, thank you, unanimous. All those that are present, it's unanimous. Beautiful. So now we have the consideration on an action to authorize this these extra days of school. Is there anything else you'd want to speak to on this motion? Okay, then I would be looking for a motion on this. And this is going to be a full vote. Yes, thank you, Board Member Figdor. Is there a second? Thank you, Vice Chair Bondo. Any discussion? Oh, and then, okay, sorry, just gotta get all my screens together. Any public comment? I'm seeing none. I'm going to close public comment. Any board discussion? Okay, then by roll call vote, please indicate whether you are in favor of the request for a waiver for student attendance at Talbot Community School for September 6th and September 7th due to the mold mitigation, and a waiver for Casco Bay High School on April 5th due to the site being without power. So we're ready when you are.
Member Ali,
Yes.
Member Bilyeu,
Yes.
Vice Chair Bondo,
Yes.
Member Bryden,
Yes.
Member Figdor,
Yes.
Member Grant,
Yes.
Member Noor,
Yes.
Member Opperman,
Yes.
Student Representative Hayden,
Yes.
Student Representative McDonald,
Yes.
Student Representative Rosado,
Yes.
Chair Lentz.
Yes. So the motion passes unanimously with the students voting with the majority. And up next, we have personnel. Barrett, are you here?
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Beautiful.
Sorry to be with you virtually, not in person. I believe, let's see, first up, we have the consideration and action to approve personnel for the reelection of probationary teachers. So these are folks continuing with us into their second year. And so you have quite a list of our wonderful teachers, what they do, and where they're located.
Thanks, Merit. It was so cool to see all those names in one place. So is there a motion for this reelection of probationary teachers for a second probationary year? Thank you, Board Member Noor. Is there a second? Thank you, Board Member Upperman. We don't have public comment on personnel items. Are there any questions from the board? Oh, sorry, let me get to the right screen. Okay, any general discussion, not about the individuals from the board? Okay, then by roll call vote, please indicate whether you're in favor of these personnel items. Deputy Superintendent, will you please call the roll?
Member Ali,
Yes.
Member Billiou,
Yes.
Vice Chair Bondo,
Yes.
Member Bryden,
Yes.
Member Figdor,
Yes.
Member Grant,
Abstain.
Member Noor,
Yes.
Member Opperman,
Yes.
Student Representative Hayden,
Yes.
Student Representative Kintiba.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I missed you on the last vote.
Hi. Yes.
You're welcome.
Do I hear a kid?
Student Representative McDonald,
Yes.
Student Representative Rosado,
Yes.
and Chair Lentz.
Yes, so the motion passes, not unanimously. It passes with Board Member Grant abstaining and the students voting with the majority. Now we're going to move on to our election of continuing contract teachers.
Yep, so you have the list of folks who have completed their probationary years and we are moving forward to continuing contract with Portland Public Schools. Again, names, titles, and locations.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Barrett. Do I have a motion to approve these continuing contract teachers? Thank you, Board Member Ali. Is there a second? Thank you, Vice Chair Bondo. We don't have public comment on personnel items. Are there any questions from the board? Right. Any general discussion, not about an individual from the board? Okay, then by roll call vote, please indicate whether you are in favor of this election of continuing contract teachers. Deputy Superintendent, will you please call the roll?
Member Ali,
Yes.
Member Billiou,
Yes.
Vice Chair Bondo,
Yes.
Member Bryden,
Yes.
Member Figdor,
Yes.
Member Grant,
Abstain.
Member Noor,
Yes.
Member Opperman,
Yes.
Student Representative Hayden,
Yes.
Student Representative Kintiba,
Yes.
Student Representative McDonald,
Yes.
Student Representative Rosado,
Yes.
and Chair Lentz.
Yes, so the motion passes with Board Member Grant abstaining and the students voting with the majority. And then we have one final personnel item.
Last but certainly not least is the election of Miss Priya Nadadharan as our incoming principal for Casco Bay High School. Thrilled to bring this forward, and I believe Derek Pierce will speak to this as well as Dr. Ahmed.
Yeah, we're going to have Dr. Ahmed come up first and speak, and then Principal Pierce is going to come.
Good evening. I facilitated this process of principal selection, and the community at Casco Bay, they spoke clearly and loudly about what qualities and characteristics that they want in their leader. They expressed that they need a community leader, an instructional leader, someone with great integrity, someone with EL experience, someone who is student-centered, and a school leader. And they got what they asked in Ms. Natarajan. I know her firsthand. I worked with her as a math teacher at Deering High School long ago. She has in her heart what it takes to serve students and the community. I know her as an instructional leader and teacher coach. I know her as a community member And every community gathering I go, she beats me to there. So she's always there. So also last year, I saw her firsthand running around multitasking and communicating with families, with the students, and also giving feedback to teachers. So congratulations to Casco Bay community, and I'm looking forward working with Ms. Natarajan. Thank you.
I greet you with hooray. My name is Derek Pierce, and I'm the principal of Casco Bay High School, and Ms. Natarajan is the best possible choice to be CBHS's next principal. I want to thank all the students, parents, and staff in the Principal Selection Committee, led by Dr. Ahmed, for sharing their time and wisdom. And I thank Ms. Natarajan for being willing to take on this responsibility. She arrived at Casco Bay in 2013 as a district leader with a reputation as being one of the best teachers in the state, and she's only gotten better. She's been recognized nationally for her teaching excellence. She's coached both students and teachers, legions of them, towards personal bests as mathematicians and as people. She has high expectations for others, as well as the caring and exceptional skill needed to support others' pursuit of their best selves. Her bedrock commitment to equity and inclusion is matched by her skills in making that happen. Working alongside her this year has helped me appreciate even more her astounding, relentless dedication to caring for each student and staff member on their particular learning journeys. Ms. Natarajan has already earned the profound respect of our students and staff. She will deepen the rigor, the relevance, and the joy in our community, and I hope all of you have the opportunity to collaborate with her in the near future. I also ask each of you to give Priya the same grace and patience that I have been so fortunate to receive from this community over the years, especially as she adjusts to her new role. And I hope she receives the same permission that I was granted to lead the school in new directions as necessary, even if that means letting go of CBHS traditions that may have run their course. No one knows better than Ms. Natarajan its distinct values, no one knows CBHS better than Ms. Natarajan, its distinct values and vision, its strengths and its challenges, and no one is better prepared to help our great school evolve and improve as it needs to. In the final weeks of this school year, I am excited to be immersed once more in the flurry of culminations and triumphs that are the hallmark of Casco Bay. And I'm so grateful for the chance to partner further with Priya as she prepares to become principal of our beloved school. Thank you.
Beautiful.
I'm going to invite up Ms. Natarajan to speak and just do a quick introduction before we do a vote.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here. So my name's Priya. I'm honored to serve as the next and only the second principal of Casco Bay. I've had a joyful teaching career at Casco since 2013 and Portland Schools since 2002, and value all of the meaningful relationships and roles I've developed in those years. I strive every day to honor our school's commitment to rigor, relevance, and relationships, while also keeping an open mind and an open heart to changes that our community might want or need. I care deeply that every student feels both supported and challenged academically, and that every family feels included and informed in the community we have built here. Thank you to our Principal Search Committee for their thoughtfulness and intentionality. Thank you to everyone offering support and advice, and congratulations. And in particular, I want to thank Mr. Pierce. You may know Derek as an inspiring, imaginative, and creative leader, which he is, but to me, he has been a generous, thoughtful, and reliable mentor. And I'm excited to continue his legacy and for the opportunity to support our amazing staff and all of the students that we have here to make our school an even better place to teach and learn. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know when we get to clap.
Yeah, I know. I'm like,
I feel like there's like
let's take the
multiple
vote
times.
quickly so that then we can all really clap.
I will just say that I had an opportunity to dig in with Priya last week and really talk with her about the position. And what struck me was both the honor that she gave to where Casco Bay is, but also the vision that she has for it over the next 5 and 10 years. And so I really appreciate a leader that can recognize both what she's stepping into and about where she and the community want to take it. And so just really support what the committee came together and recognized. You know, sometimes you look afar to figure out where the next leader is, and sometimes the next leader is right there. And so just really excited to support this. And so with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Chair.
Beautiful. So let's go ahead and get a vote, and then I'll open it up to any responses if folks want to give them. So do I have a motion for this election of an administrator? Yes, thank you, Vice Chair Bondo. Is there a second? Thank you, Board Member Opperman. We don't have any public comment on personnel items. Any questions from the board? No, not yet comments. Any general discussion? Not about the individual, but just in general. Great. And then, so by roll call vote, please indicate whether you are in favor of this personnel item. Deputy Superintendent, will you please call the roll?
Member Ali,
Yes.
Member Bilyeu,
Yes.
Vice Chair Bondo,
Yes.
Member Bryden,
Yes.
Member Figdor,
Yes.
Member Grant,
Abstain.
Member Noor,
Yes.
Member Opperman,
Yes.
Student Representative Hayden,
Yes.
Student Representative Kintiba,
Yes.
Student Representative McDonald,
Yes.
Student Representative Rosado,
Yes.
and Chair Lentz.
Yes. So the motion passes with the Board Member Grant abstaining and the students voting with the majority. Congratulations. Where did you go? Any board member would like to give comments, now would be the time. Thank you, Vice Chair Bondo. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, I cannot hold my joy to see Priya in that position. And I know Priya for years as a friend and also as a community leader. And I saw her on different actions about especially student center and just raising the voice of the marginalized and making sure that, you know, we're bringing the voice and making sure that where we're making changes is about the students. And Derek legacy just well served. So congratulations. I'm so proud of you. Thank you.
Anyone else? I just think what a gift. How lucky we are to have someone so strong come up through the system and be here for so long and be able to steward the culture of Casco Bay forward. So just thank you. Thank you for continuing to be so dedicated to our district. I am curious how your MC skills are. I don't know if that was in the job description. Yes. Anyway, but thank you for all the strengths that you're bringing to this role. Yes, Board Member Grant, go ahead.
Just want to take a minute, even though I abstain from these votes, I want to make it clear that it's not for lack of support. We have some formalistic reasons why I do that, but I did want to extend congratulations to everybody who secured employment through the votes tonight. I know it's a milestone day for lots of staff, including Priya, but many others on the list we have before us tonight. So congratulations to everyone who was voted into a spot for next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Grant. Okay, so I don't see any other hands. Let me just double check Zoom one more time. So then I'm going to go ahead and move us into adjournment, but please stay for some workshops. So is there a motion to adjourn the meeting? Thank you, Board Member Opperman. Is there a second? Thank you, Board Member Grant. All those in favor? All right, so that is unanimous. We're going to adjourn at 7:05 p.m.